In this session, we're going to talk about drink refusal skills. And the reason why is because social pressure is one of the things that makes healthy behavioral change more difficult. And it's also a really common reason why I have patients in my clinics that relapse, and even kind of it's something that I've experienced firsthand myself when I give up drinking every January. So it's a really valuable skill to have those drink refusal skills. And again, it's also something I think we can transfer to other kind of situations and practice being more assertive and I guess living life the way that we would want to live. What I want you to do is imagine the types of situations that you might find yourself in where somebody might offer you a drink. And maybe they don't even just offer you a drink. Maybe this is kind of pushed upon you. And I call these pressure statements because they're sometimes not even like a question. It's actually the pressure. And so it could be at a work event. It could be your boss offering you a drink. It could be your partner. It could be friends. It could be family members. And often it's very innocent and they don't mean any harm, but it does put you under pressure. And you can find yourself kind of wanting to appease the people. A lot of people like to please others. And they have this fear of not fitting in and seeming different, or maybe kind of, I don't know, having to answer more difficult questions like, are you pregnant? Is that why you're not drinking? And these are the types of things that people tell me in my clinics, that they, these difficult situations that they encounter. I never want anybody that I work with to arrive at those situations without the tools that they need, and without feeling that they're prepared. So one of the things I often do is I teach people drink refusal skills, and I rehearse those drink refusal skills with people. So that's what we're going to do together just now. So the first thing to do is to recognize those pressure statements. It might sound a bit like something like this. Oh, go on, it's my birthday. Like, don't be boring. You're more fun when you're drinking. Come on, just have one. One won't hurt. And so half the trick is to recognize these pressure statements and to have a kind of pre-rehearsed response to this, or at least have some sort of kind of sense of how you're going to handle it. So what I do is I talk people through 6 different personas, 6 different drink refusal personas. And then I'm going to talk you through these in order just now. And you can try experimenting with what fits right for you, what feels comfortable for yourself. So the first drink refusal persona, I like to call it the educator. So in those types of situations where there's a pressure statement, the educator will respond to that by sharing information and saying, oh, well, actually, do you know what? This is why I'm not drinking. And here's something I've learned about myself when I don't drink. I actually sleep better, or I wake up on a Saturday morning and I get to do more with my day. But it's all about sharing information, or, maybe talking about all of the different alcohol-free options. So, actually, I'm not drinking alcohol. I am drinking though, but I've got a soda water and lime, and this is why I prefer it. But it's all about kind of educating the person that's speaking to you. To be honest, I reckon most of the time, if you start kind of educating people, they're probably going to stop asking you about what you're drinking, why you're not drinking alcohol, and that'll probably end that conversation and we can all move on. But that's the first drink refusal persona. It's the educator. The second drink refusal persona that I sometimes encourage people to adopt is called the little white liar. Now, there's times when I think it's totally acceptable to tell a little white lie. Sometimes we just don't have the energy to engage with difficult conversations about why we're not drinking. And so sometimes you might just say, oh, actually, no, I've already got a drink. It's a gin and tonic, but even though it's a soda water and fresh lime. Or you could make up another excuse like, I'm on antibiotics, so I can't drink with the antibiotics. Or I'm driving. Often the antibiotic one is a good one, and often people will just accept that. I think if you've got a medical reason, people will often accept that. And if they don't accept that, then they're maybe not people that you want to be spending time with. But the second drink refusal persona that I encourage people to use sometimes and experiment with is the little white liar. Drink refusal persona number 3 is the diplomat. So I really like this one because the diplomat is all about acknowledging different perspectives on a situation, but being respectful and finding some common ground, but also agreeing to disagree. And I quite enjoy this personally sometimes, especially when people are being really unreasonable and being really kind of forceful with their view, saying, "Oh, you're being boring, you're ruining the night out, this is, you're no fun." And in those situations, sometimes I think being a diplomat can be virtuous to you, and it's a way of kind of taking the higher ground and kind of, I suppose, kind of showing off some of those good qualities that you tend to have when you're sober. Yeah, it's all about acknowledging different perspectives and agreeing to disagree. So sometimes, in those type of situations, to diffuse any kind of awkward conversations, I might just smile and say, "Look, that's all right. I'm just going to agree to disagree, but that's okay." Or, you could expand upon it further and say, "Look, I actually am having a really good time and we can have fun in different ways." But sometimes it's just easier just to say, "That's all right. Yeah, just smile and nod," and then agree to disagree. And that's drink refusal persona number 3, the diplomat. Drink refusal skill number 4 is the joker. Now, some people are natural comedians and it is just effortless for them to be funny. And I really envy those people because humor is a really effective defense mechanism. It can really lighten the mood. And yeah, I think it's just a nice way to diffuse a situation, like kind of an awkward situation. So some nice examples that I've heard from people have said, "Oh, go on, mate, just have another drink, just have one, it won't hurt." The response to that I heard that I really liked the most was somebody saying, "Look, I cannot drink alcohol. Alcohol kills your brain cells and I've only got 2 left, so I need to save them both." Or another one that I've heard that I quite liked was, "Honestly, I can't drink after midnight because I turn into a gremlin." I've heard people joking about the fact that they can't drink anymore because they've got to do brain surgery in the morning, or something ridiculous or ludicrous like, they're driving a celebrity home later on that evening. But I guess the common theme there is the joker diffuses the situation. They make light of kind of what could otherwise be awkward. Sometimes it can be self-depreciating in theme. Sometimes it can be like something utterly ridiculous. But again, it's one of those things. It might not come naturally to you. It doesn't come naturally to me, as you probably could hear. Like I'm not. It just doesn't flow when I say it. It's not funny, but it might be funny for you. And so, if that works for you, then experiment with this. Try that drink persona, the joker. So, drink refusal skill number 5 is the table turner. Now, this is the approach that I think I probably take this most often myself. This is what feels comfortable for me. But in this kind of situation where somebody's putting me under pressure to drink, and if they're not taking no for an answer, maybe I've tried some of those other drink refusal personas and they're still not taking no for an answer, then I'll turn the tables. I'll take the heat off myself in the conversation, and I'll distract people with directing the conversation to somebody else in the circle, or even back to the person that's asking me the question. I might rehearse a statement like, "Hold that thought. I really want to finish off this conversation with Alex. I want to hear about his day. Alex has had something really interesting happen to Alex. Alex, what was that?" And then you're directing that shift of attention from yourself onto somebody else and inviting them to tell their story. And people love to tell their story in a night out. So that's a really interesting technique. The other thing is when somebody's saying, "Why aren't you drinking? What are you drinking? Are you pregnant?" All of these kind of like silly things that might make you feel uncomfortable. Turn it back on them and say, "Are you pregnant? What is it you're drinking?" Do it, and if you can, obviously do it in a playful way, but maybe ask them like, "Look, tell me what is that you love about drinking? What is it you're having to drink?" Or the other thing actually that works really well in those situations is a compliment. If it feels right, again, just say, "Look, oh, I really like your jacket. Where did you get your jacket from?" And then get them talking about something that they want to talk about. It's a little bit like flattery, but again, it's a nice way of just taking the heat off yourself, making yourself feel a bit more comfortable and turning the tables. That's my personal favorite drink refusal persona, the table turner. The final drink refusal persona is maybe the most effective of all, and that's the direct approach. And always remember that no or no thank you is a perfectly adequate response. You're not obliged to give any more justification than that. No thank you is a sentence. That is a full answer in itself. And you don't need to go to all of these complicated, kind of pre-rehearsed statements. And if somebody is not accepting that as an answer, you are also perfectly within your rights to remove yourself from that situation. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic, but you can discreetly walk away, move to a different part of the bar, restaurant, or environment situation. You are allowed to respect your own boundaries and I guess protect those boundaries and protect your well-being. So the sixth and final and maybe most effective drink refusal persona is the polite but direct approach. So look, we've talked about all of these different drink refusal personas. Now, some of them might fit very comfortably with you, and some of them might feel a bit uncomfortable. The trick is really just to experiment with what feels right, and knowing that these different types of approaches exist. What I find is really helpful is to reflect back on previous situations where you may have succumbed to peer pressure, and what was it about those situations? What was it that people were saying? Who was it that was saying it? How did it make you feel? What were the things that you were thinking about at the time? Why was it that those situations were so difficult? And how could you have managed those situations differently? What are the things that you could have said or maybe done? Every time you relapse or have unwanted drinking behaviors, it's an opportunity to learn. And so, again, just to kind of reflect upon those different drink refusal personas, are there any of them that you could have used in those situations? And then in the future, are there any that you would want to try again in the future? So just to recap, those 6 drink refusal personas are the educator, the little white liar, the diplomat, the joker, the table turner, and the direct but polite approach.